Hey, welcome everyone to our midweek resilient health community meetup, I will call it. We had to make some minor adjustments. We were trying to broadcast live, but we had a bit of a snag. But we hope our next time, next month, we would have our premiere live session. So look out for that announcement. It's coming once we work out all the kinks. But we're going to share this information regardless because it's too important to not share. So, my name is Dr. Murray. I am with Resilient Health Communities. Resilient Health Communities, just a reminder for those who don't know as yet, it's a grassroots, volunteer-powered nonprofit that helps adults, caregivers, and families build cognitive resilience and social belonging. And we start with the brain because attention, memory, and executive function underpin every other health habit. And we deliver our work here at Resilient Health in small, local circles and turn knowledge into daily practice. So, what do? We promote simple routines of reading aloud, handwriting, writing by hand, and quick, simple math. And I know those of you who are already part of the community know about these tools, and I hope you're implementing them. Even if you've skipped a day or skipped a couple days, get back on the bandwagon and practice these tools. The more you practice, the more benefits you're going to receive from them. We also have our first Sunday session. So, the first Sunday of every month, we invite you to join us in community as we reflect on the past month and we plan for the upcoming month. So, the key here is to do everything, to do our work, to do our brain building or use our brain building tools and share them in community. So today I'm really excited to introduce you to our guest. Our guest for today, this Wednesday, this midweek day, is our guest today is Irwin Larrier. And we are focused in the month of October is building resiliency, building our emotional health resiliency. And one of the tools that can be used to do that is forgiveness. So we're going to look at the impact of forgiveness on our emotional health because emotional health is a very key component to brain health. So, Owen, welcome. And please tell us about yourself and how you got linked or connected to forgiveness as a means of building emotional resiliency.
Wow, that's a big ask, Dr. Marlene. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to first talk about myself, but also why I'm here. Um, I got involved with what I know as the resilient health community through connecting with Dr. Marlene and others. But more importantly, the reason I'm here is because I too have experienced the loss of a parent due to Alzheimer's, dementia along that continuum. Um, I got all dressed up, ready for the live, and
It's okay.
I feel like I just need to let me just relax. So let me start over. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to be here, and I'm glad to share this time and space with you. My father immediately he passed away over 18 months from the effects of Alzheimer's. And it left us, the family, it was very difficult at best and at worst. Sometimes it felt like we were questioning the love of God because we literally saw our loved one forget who we are and we actually forget a little bit about who he was. My background is in pastoral ministry, software engineering. I was heavily involved in restorative justice. My my life has always been working to help others become their best selves. And one of the things I too learned is that unless I involve myself in soul care, physical care, mental care, all of the different things that go along with it, I too could end up where I don't want to be. And one of the most important things that happened to me is that I realized that when you come to a space where you forget everything, two things happen. One, you forget who you are because you no longer know who you are. And that's very scary as you notice it as the process goes on. And secondly, those looking on lose you because you and them, they forget the goodness of God in your life. So I ended up here because of how my father's disease, how it panned itself out, left us feeling unsure and even very afraid because as the stress of life got to me, I started to forget. Because I was overstressed, I wasn't sleeping, I wasn't eating when I should, I wasn't praying when I should. I actually became quite depressed as a result of a lot of the things that were going on. And I found myself in a place of darkness. And as I learned about dementia, because when we examined the family tree and looked back, we saw that there were multiple instances of that. But this evening, I want to come and tell you that there's great news, good news, and wonderful news, that there's hope. And as we lay hold of this hope, we can enjoy the whole process of learning to take care of our brain health, not just our mental health, but our brain health as we navigate the remainders and even the fullness of our life. Over to you, Dr. Marlene. I hope I answered that question.
Yes, you did.
Well
Thank
enough.
you. Thank you for sharing. And it's important, it's interesting to know that you also had this personal connection. That is actually the testament of most of the people in that's part of this community, that they've had a loved one who has experienced dementia, who is living with dementia, or who passed as a result. And so you're in the right place, right?
Thank you.
And also, I also identify with the fear, right? Because I have a parent who is living with dementia and the fear of getting it. And so, resilient health communities, we provide a space where we can not just wallow in the fear, but also do things that can possibly mitigate some of the impacts of the disease. Okay, so today our focus, like I mentioned, is on building emotional resiliency through forgiveness. And if you've lived long enough, like most of us, if you lived on the planet, you are going to have some time where you will need to forgive, where you are going to either experience hurt, disappointment, in loved ones or people, and the need to forgive. So, Irwin, can you share with us? How do we do this? I think I've heard that we should choose forgiveness. Can you speak on that about choosing forgiveness?
Yes, I would love to. So here we go. We have always been told that we need to forgive, especially if you have any kind of religious or spiritual exposure. And the question is, what is forgiveness? There are multiple challenges and multiple definitions that people apply to the word forgiveness. So what I'm going to tell you right now to start it off is what forgiveness is not. The first thing that forgiveness is not, it's not forgive and forget. And that's ascribed to an understanding that it's in the Bible, but it's not in the Bible, actually. There's nowhere in the Bible that says forgive and forget. What happens is when you look at life, there are many things that happen to you. As a matter of fact, let me just put it like this. we have been carrying burdens that we've not been designed to bear. And we talk about forgiveness as some people put it, as a way of escaping the fact that we have to face what has happened to us. That's number one. There's nothing such as forgive and forget, because if I forget what has happened to me, I'm no longer myself.
Correct.
And you will not recognize me because I am made up of all of the memories and the chemical ways that the brain stores those memories, and they make me me. So if you forget those memories, you forget a part of you, and eventually you're going to forget you, which is what actually happens when dementia moves along that continuum towards Alzheimer's. Okay. The second thing is about forgiveness. It is presented purely as a moral requirement. And while there's a moral requirement, there's also a physical and physiological requirement. Why? Because when that brain of yours takes off and goes down a road, and it keeps rehearsing the things that are negative, guess what happens to you?
Please tell us.
Your blood pressure goes up.
Your blood pressure?
Your blood pressure goes up. I can testify to that. My blood pressure has come down. I remember when I came to America, and I had to go for a health check. My doctor looked at me and said, "I'm sending you straight to a cardiologist." I was scared. My blood pressure was about 190 over 150.
Oh, wow.
I was a walking stroke waiting to happen.
And we know blood pressure,
yeah,
has an impact not just on the blood vessels outside of the brain, but also the blood vessels that support the brain.
correct.
And that cannot be a good thing.
No, it isn't, because here's the thing. When the vessels in your brain deteriorate, it means less blood, less oxygen, more the trauma happens. Your brain can bleed, number one. Number two, you can develop the unfortunate paradigm we call vascular dementia. And that is where it is at. But again, there's hope. There's things we can do. That's why we are part of the resilient health communities.
Yes.
And Dr. Marlene, I'm sure will tell you about rest, exercise, both cognitive and emotional, as well as what you eat. We had a fantastic presentation by Dr. Marlene talking about how you can literally feed yourself into hopefully improving your brain health through the foods that we eat.
Yes. So it's a choice, right?
It's a choice.
Forgiveness is a choice. It doesn't necessarily come naturally.
No.
So you have to be very cognizant of making that choice to forgive.
And here's the challenge. Lots of us believe that forgiveness is an event. I say, I forgive you.
That's not it.
But if it was that easy, no. Let me ask you a question, Dr. Marlene. Do you know, and for anyone who's on Zoom, do you know any angry people?
Oh, yeah. I know some angry people. Not a whole lot, but I know some angry people. They just move through life angry.
Yes. Are you yourself angry?
I don't consider myself an angry person, but I know I have gotten angry to the point that I shocked myself. I did not know I had the capacity to be that angry. And I thought, who is this person? So no, I wouldn't necessarily find myself as an angry person, but I could think of 2 times in my life where what we call lost it.
You lost it.
Right? Meaning I lost control because I became extremely angry. Yes.
Yep.
So if that's the definition of an angry person, maybe I am. But
we don't know.
I don't move through life feeling angry, but I have had 2 occasions in my life where I was live it.
And I need to put your mind at rest. Being angry or expressing anger doesn't make you an angry person.
Okay, well, I'm glad to know that I'm not an angry
Well,
person.
and it's important to know that. But what I want to tell you about anger, at least one thing, being angry is as natural as the currents in the sea moving in the lakes, as the sun rising in the east and setting in the west.
Mm-hmm.
This all natural. That's not the real issue. The issue is what happens when it stays.
Okay.
When anger remains longer than it should.
And it
You
festers.
see, anger is there to protect you, help you protect yourself, and indeed protect others.
Mm-hmm.
It tells you that something is wrong. However, can you remember a time, anyone who's on the Zoom or in the live, can you remember a time when you got angry today and it's Wednesday, the 22nd, and at 6 p.m., and you can remember still being angry about something that happened 2 weeks ago? You feel that undercurrent, that rumbling. Perhaps it was with someone and you remember someone says their name and you go immediately back to that event. Now remember, the event has passed,
Mm-hmm.
but you are still what? Angry.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's when things get bad.
That's where the problem lies.
That's
And
because your
that's
blood
why,
pressure
mm-hmm.
tweaks. It jumps because what's happened is that you are remembering the pain of the memory as if it is still going on now.
Right.
And your body immediately gives off a physiological response. Your cortisol, called the stress hormone, it jumps up. It reduces, it causes your immune system to shut down to a degree because now you're in fight or flight, or as some people call it, survival mode.
Mm-hmm.
And we were not designed to live in survival mode more than maybe 20 minutes or half an hour because where our body, our brain has told our body, you are in danger, mortal danger, and you could die. And your body has decided, oops, I am going.
Right.
I'm going to do whatever it takes to survive because that's your amygdala, that part of your brain.
Mm-hmm.
That's the part that bypasses all of your cognition and goes straight to your feelings, straight to your hormones, and says, I gotta survive.
Mm-hmm.
The danger is we remain in that state for extended periods of time, and this eventually will affect our brain health.
Okay.
But there's good news.
There's good news.
There are techniques and things we can do
Right.
to make this happen.
Okay,
Let
so
me ask one more question.
okay, go ahead. Go
Let
ahead.
me ask one more question quickly.
Uh-huh.
Have you ever been around someone who all they talk about is what happened to them?
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
How often and how much do you want to be around that person?
Don't want to.
You do or you don't?
I don't want to.
You
I
don't
don't
want
want
to
to
be.
be around them. I have to take those kinds of people in doses.
Of course. Now, here's
Small
the thing. What
doses.
happens when it is you?
I know. And I have been at that stage where I heard myself repeating something over and over, and I realized, oh my gosh, might be exhausting my friends. I'm
You are.
exhausting people. So I had to snap myself back and like, can't keep doing that. So that awareness helped me to make the decision to choose forgiveness. What I'm hearing is that despite the hurts, the pain, etc., we need to choose forgiveness. It does
We
not
need
come
forgiveness.
naturally.
And
We have
it
to,
is the most difficult thing you can do
yes. But
because our bodies are not wired for forgiveness.
right, we're not wired for forgiveness, so we have to make a conscious effort with
We have
conscious
to make that
decision.
choice.
We
And
have to
having
make
made that choice,
Mhm.
here's the challenge. How do we do it?
That's where I'm going. So Once you've chosen forgiveness, right? Like you said, we know that it's not just a one-time thing. You can say, "Oh, I forgive you," and it's done. There's a process. So
Yes.
I want to talk about what are some of the tools. Maybe we won't get to all the tools, but for this occasion, let's talk about one of the tools that can be used to, after we've made the choice, what is one of the tools that that can be used to implement forgiveness? Can you
Wow.
speak to that?
This, I'm glad this is merely, or this is specifically an introduction
Mm-hmm.
to a process. So let me, in order to, one of the main tools that I would like to talk about, or initially, is a tool called reframing the past.
Mm-hmm.
When we look at our memories, particularly the memories that carry significant pain with them, what we have done is created a story.
Mm-hmm.
Some people call it our grievance story. And I hinted at it earlier. That's the
Yeah.
story we tell everyone that we can about what has happened to us and what someone has done to us,
Mm-hmm.
because we're the victim in that story. And what we want is for other people to pile on and affirm our victimhood, our victimization, and that the person who hurt us is evil.
Can I ask a question though? Because if I get a whole bunch, I tell everybody how awful this evil person is,
Mm-hmm.
and I tell it over, I keep building my, um, what you call them, my
Your
entourage.
victimhood story, your
Right.
grievance story.
Right. I have my grievance story and I'm sharing it with building an entourage of people who are supporting me as the victim. Isn't that healing to have all that support?
It feels good to have all of that support. The
Hmm.
problem is you never move beyond the depths and breadths of that story. Because
Okay.
right now, your story that you're telling yourself is like you've put yourself in a prison. You've developed two blinkers like a horse has. A horse is given blinkers, especially when they're moving around other animals, other human beings, and human beings simply because any sudden movement can cause them to act out, to shy away, to become violent. And I'm speaking philosophically rather than literally, but you're always on edge.
Mm.
But now you've got this grievance story, or what I call my hugging the barbed wire story. When you hug the barbed wire, and this is my take on it, of the
Yes.
grievance story. What you do is that you are hugging the pain of the memory, and you can some philosophically see yourself bleeding. You have on this white top, this white shirt, and you have all of these drops of blood that are dripping, and you and I, because we're rehearsing this grievance story, are embracing the pain. That is
Mhm.
the barbed wire, the razor wire, and we are smiling because it makes us feel good to be victimized. That is how the brain
Mm.
is teaching us
Hmm.
to survive. And here's the thing, once you no longer are embracing that grievance story, because reframing the past is taking another look at your grievance story, or you're embracing the cat wire, razor wire story, so that you no longer bleed. And to do that, instead of just seeing everything like this, you widen your sphere of what's going on in the story. Remember, you are not in pain because of what happened. today. It's happened before, but it's the memory of the pain, the way we remember the story
Okay.
that is
Okay.
causing us the high
That's the
blood pressure
pain.
spikes, the
Yeah.
high glucose spikes in our body, because these are the things that happen when we remember the pain, because our body is doing its best to survive.
But here's the thing. When you say reframe, are we going to lie to ourselves about what happened? Is
No, you can't lie to
you're not
yourself.
lying. So what
No, you're not
exactly
lying to
are you
yourself.
doing? If an event, if something happened to you,
It has happened.
right?
It is
The
true. It is
pain is
real.
real.
Yes.
How do you, how do we,
How do
what
we
do you,
move beyond that?
yeah,
First
I
and
mean,
foremost,
because I want to make sure we don't lie to ourselves, right?
no,
We have
no,
to be honest. We're not saying reframing is not
it's not,
changing the truth of the story.
no.
What does that look like, reframing the story?
So reframing story, first and foremost, you need to know and understand what the story is about.
Mm-hmm.
Many of us remember a story, but we have really, or if never, or if ever, written the story down to see it for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
When you write your story down, you write the event in its truthful form as you have remembered it.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that happens, and particularly for me, because I carried a lot of bitterness and a lot of resentment throughout my life. My father was an alcoholic. There was physical and emotional abuse. And I could tell you a whole story about that one particular experience, which changed and transformed my life. It actually caused me, playing in the background of my mind, to not want to have children for
Mm-hmm.
fear that I would do to them
Oh
what
my.
he did to me. And one of the things that I also had to learn when I wrote my story down, so
Mm-hmm.
that I can have a true picture of the story. Now, remember, forgiveness is not letting anyone off the hook. It is letting me or you off of the hook that exists, that we are hanging ourselves on,
Mm-hmm.
because we are on the edge of that razor wire that is cutting into our flesh, releasing blood, and causing a lot of stress in our body that affects primarily, or should I say additionally, our brain health. And I'm focusing on brain health because when that blood pressure goes up, that cortisol gets a flowing and stays a flowing, your vascular pressures go up, and eventually you will pay the price physiologically, not just in your brain, but throughout your entire body. So let me say this quickly. And this is going to be hard to hear because it was very hard for me to hear.
Mm-hmm.
The person or persons who did what they did to you, that caused you that pain, that trauma,
Mm-hmm.
they're not all evil
They're not.
and they're not all good.
Oh.
All of us, each one of us, there's some good and there's some evil. That phrase that I heard, not everybody is all good and not everybody is all evil. So
Yeah.
there's at least cognitive dissonance in them. Now, one may be overpowering the other, which is what usually enables us to do the things that we
Mm-hmm.
do that are
Mm-hmm.
hurtful,
Mm-hmm.
painful, even traumatic or worse to others. But there's always some kind of cognitive dissonance. They're not. And when we do reframing the past, what we're doing is when we look at the story, then we widen the frame,
Mm-hmm.
widen the lens that we look at with which we look at the incident.
Okay.
So let me tell you what I had to do with my father.
But before you do that,
Sure.
what I'm hearing is that one of the ways you can reframe the past is to look at the individual that caused the pain in a more three-dimensional, multi-dimensional way, right?
Yes.
And not that this person is 100% evil, but they have some good, and they may have their own issues that led them to that point. So it almost
Absolutely.
sounds to me like you're saying maybe extend some grace to that individual. And that's one way of reframing the past. You're not saying that the individual did not harm you or cause you pain, but you can look at them from make the decision to view them in a different light, that they're not 100% evil.
And
That's
that's
one way
correct.
of widening the frame. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, that
Okay.
is essentially what I'm sharing. And here's the thing. We are all human. You know, there's a phrase that is widely
Yes.
used in the Christian context.
Mm-hmm.
There goes me, but for the grace of God.
But for the grace of God. Yes.
And the key word there, well, there's a phrase
Mm-hmm.
and there's a word. The first which I'll use is the word grace, and the second phrase, there goes me.
Mm-hmm.
So give an example with my father.
Yes.
I never expected my father to be someone who's experienced pain.
Mm.
And as I dug into my father's alcoholism and all the things that he perpetrated, not just to me, but to my siblings and even to my mother and to the people who cared about him. At my father's funeral, so many people showed up.
Mm.
So relatives that I never met.
Mm-hmm.
And they had so many good things to say to him. I did his eulogy
Mm-hmm.
and I said,
Wow.
I don't know the man you know, who you are here. You're here giving God thanks for his life.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
But I also heard about the abuse he experienced at the hands of his father. I learned that he, at the age of 13, had to give up high school,
Mm-hmm.
going to school,
Mm-hmm.
to go and work in the sugarcane fields,
Oh.
doing all the different things that he had to do in the to put his three younger siblings through school, all of whom became the first in so many different things. I have my aunt, his sister,
Mm-hmm.
became one of the some kind of specialized nurse in England. He paid for that through his labor.
Mm-hmm.
My uncle Victor, he became the first meteorologist on television in the island of Barbados.
Oh, wow.
First. I have an
Okay.
uncle who served in the
Oh.
British Army and was one of the first black men who served in Northern Ireland and survived.
Mm-hmm.
But I also learned that my grandfather, his father, abused him horribly.
Mm.
But yet I have this cognitive dissonance between the one who people talked about and the one whom I knew. And it forced me to come and reframe my past. So reframing the past allows you to look at the incident, but now with more information. It does not say he wasn't accountable because he got abused.
Right.
He's still accountable. But now I need to offer grace because that allows me to physiologically
Mm-hmm.
relax. My blood vessels, my blood pressure goes down, my blood sugar goes down, my A1C improves, my memory hopefully is no longer deteriorated by the grace of God. I'm just using the words that I used earlier,
Mm-hmm.
will improve. At least it will stabilize and not deteriorate, and hopefully through nutrition and exercise and cognitive exercises and physical exercise and prayer and all these other tools that are talked about and tools that are proven to be effective
Mm-hmm.
to help with your cognitive health, that will improve your uh, resilience towards life,
Emotional resilience.
emotional resilience, because
Emotional
I can
resilience.
promise you,
Yes.
I was one of those people who would walk around and doing this thing called rumination,
Mm-hmm.
because the story, the grievance story, the The cat wire, the razor wire story was my best friend. And the greatest difficulty for me was to let it go,
Mm,
not let go of it, to let it go. And the reason I make that differentiation is because the grievance story, my razor wire story,
mm-hmm.
had become my best friend, superseding even, and for those of us who are religious and spiritual, superseding even God.
Oh my goodness.
It caused me not to trust God,
Mm,
which is why, as forgiveness began to make itself manifest in my life,
mm-hmm.
this may sound interesting, but I made room for God to be God, and it's still continuing even to this day. Because there are many, as we evaluate ourselves, we recognize we don't just have one grievance story,
Mm,
but there are multiple grievance stories that emerge as we pay more attention to what we're thinking about
mm-hmm.
as we write down what it is. And I apologize if I seem passionate, it's
No,
because I
passion is
am.
good. This
Because
is real for you, right?
my
This is your
my
experience.
family, I
Uh-huh.
grew up in a family, an extended family of 15 uncles and aunts. And so many of them have died bitter at each other.
Mm.
And right now, I'm in the middle of another one who is passing away, but whom has found forgiveness
Oh.
with herself and others. And that's the other thing about forgiveness. Many of us want relational forgiveness,
Mm-hmm.
but find it so hard
Mm.
to be to forgive ourselves, to
Hmm.
treat ourselves with the grace that we want to treat others. We are so harsh. We don't give ourselves
Mhm.
grace. We are more unforgiving to ourselves. And we end up, and I'm careful how I say this,
Mhm.
because this is very subjective from my perspective. Because by beholding and holding on to that razor wire story,
Mhm.
we learn to either hate or not love ourselves.
Mm.
So let me stop there, Marlene, because I want to
No, you've covered a
run.
lot. We've learned that we have to choose forgiveness, right?
Mhm.
It's a choice. We have to choose
Yes.
forgiveness, and you've provided a tool, which is reframing the past. And one way
Yeah.
to do that is
Mhm.
to really look at the perpetrator
Yes.
of the pain
And
in a
the
more
event.
and the event.
And the event, because they're intertwined inextricably. You cannot separate one from the other. But the separation way after is that by remembering and thinking about the story differently, we
Mhm.
separate the pain from the memory so that when we remember, we're no longer triggered by our amygdala into going back and taking up the pain. Not the memory of the pain is what we have, but we go and we recreate the pain, which has the same effect in our physiology.
Right. But I know I get how we can uh look at the person, the perpetrator of the pain in a more multidimensional way, right? So not think of them as 100% evil, but even consider what would have led them to inflict that pain. But
Mhm.
how do you reframe the event? If
Well,
you
you
were,
actually,
for example,
mhm,
if you were physically harmed by someone,
mhm,
right? I can see how you can reframe, how you can view that person in in a different light. You can make the choice to say, well, this person is not 100% evil. There might be some things that led them to that decision and to perpetrate the act of whatever the act is. But how do you reframe the event?
so let me make sure and this
Because you
is
mentioned that,
right.
you're
So
reframing, you're framing
the
the
event.
right.
So
So if you were
let me
shot,
do
let's say
that.
you were shot with a gun by someone.
I got shot.
You got shot and this person inflicted pain, and you could think maybe this person had some trauma in their life previously that led them to make that decision. But how do you reframe that particular event? I can't see, to me, in order to reframe the event, I see how you can reframe, well, how you can look at think of the person differently. But how do you reframe the actual act? How what oh, am I misunderstanding what you're saying?
So let me see if I can do this in another way
Mm-hmm.
or share it differently. At age 19, an uncle who used to pick me up every morning from the time I was 7 years old, myself and my sister, and take us around every Saturday morning to do to do all the visits. My uncle was an agricultural officer
Okay.
working for the government of Barbados at the time. And we grew up on a farm where my sister and I, we each had a calf or a goat or a sheep or something. And we grew up to love animals. And this uncle of mine had he'd worked in Oregon, he'd traveled around the world, learning how to take care of animals. And I developed this deep love relationship. This is my uncle.
Mm-hmm.
And at 19, he took a 38 revolver and put it in my nose, threatening to kill me.
Mm.
How do I was stunned,
Mm-hmm.
scared, angry, frustrated, betrayed. All of these are the things that I was struggling with.
Mm-hmm.
And and it's taken quite a few years. As a matter of fact, it's only maybe up until last year that
Mm.
I actually began to come to grips, because that was one story, one grievance story, one razor wire story that I was still holding on to.
Mm-hmm.
And when I remembered, looking through some pictures, a picture where he and I were standing together, smiling, laughing, and hugging, and it bypassed and went all the way back.
Mm.
And I found myself experiencing those identical feelings, except with more anger.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you do with that memory? So I'll share what I did with the knowledge that I have,
Okay.
which is imperfect at best, but is beginning to work for me.
Okay.
Okay.
Please do.
I found myself having to make a choice. Do I want to continue to feel this way?
Mm.
Or do I want me to let me off the hook of the resentment and the desire for revenge? Because that was a deeply significant betrayal.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to make that choice. There are going to be things that happen to us that with people who are complete strangers.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to have to make the choice. Do we want to walk around? It does not mean that they're not accountable. They're absolutely what I can forgive you,
Mm-hmm.
but you still have to you either have to be held accountable or you hold yourself accountable. The, the main purpose of forgiveness in this instance is that if you see that person's face again, or hear that person's name called, or anything with them, that you are not taken back to that. And how do you reframe that part?
Yeah.
I forgive you. I choose
Mm-hmm.
to let me off the hook, because many of the times I remember,
Mm-hmm.
and even when I was married, there were at least 3 people in the bed with me at night. There was my wife, there was myself, and somebody always in between,
Mm.
because it was affecting intimacy,
Mm-hmm.
it was affecting peace, it made it difficult to build relationships. And what I had to do is to write down what I knew about the person who had done what they'd done in that event,
Mm-hmm.
and decide whether forgiving them was worth it or not.
Mm.
Now, my uncle's sons love me. They're my cousins.
Mm-hmm.
Even his grandson, who is about 6'1" now, he says, Uncle, he calls me Uncle Irwin. He says, Uncle Irwin, my daddy loved you because he still kept your picture before he died.
Oh.
I had
Mm-hmm.
to decide
Mm-hmm.
who is paying the price for my unforgiveness because I want to get revenge.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the one who's having high blood pressure? Me. Who's the one who's having high blood sugar? Me. My A1C3, my A1C, that's what I'm calling A1C3. A1C was
A1C.
11.9.
Oh my word.
Today it's about a 5.
Praise the
For
Lord.
those of us who have a faith or spiritual perspective,
Yeah.
it's a 5.
Okay.
Sometimes it goes as high as 5.5, and it's always a tussle. But I had to choose, and I have to choose. This is an everyday thing.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes easier, but you have to do it every day. I
Okay.
have to learn to be aware of what I'm thinking,
Mm-hmm.
and that leads me on to another tool.
What you
One other
tell
thing, Marley,
what you
it's
tell
called,
yourself,
yeah, tell myself. What you're telling
tell
yourself can
yourself
kill you.
can kill you.
It can kill
Yes.
you. Have you?
What you tell. So that's it. So those are the three. So here's let me summarize so
Sure.
far. Choosing forgiveness, right?
Hmm.
It's a choice. It doesn't come naturally. It's actually natural to not forgive.
Yes.
So we have to make a choice. Second, reframing the past.
Hmm.
And that's looking at the perpetrator and the event differently,
Hmm.
finding ways to do that. And what you tell yourself, because
Yeah.
what you tell yourself can kill you. You spoke
Literally.
to the ruminating,
Rumination.
rumination, rumination. So tell us about that. What you tell yourself can kill you.
What you tell yourself can kill you.
I know, I know. We
Man.
kind of talked about it a little, but just
Yeah.
expand on
So,
it just a little bit more.
okay. So here's what rumination is.
Mm-hmm.
For everyone on this call, I'm inviting you to check your memory right now about something. It could be little or large, something that you're trying to fix in your own head. You are physically incapable of fixing it. You want to get even. You want revenge. You want them to hurt as you are hurting.
Mm-hmm.
You want to correct some mistake that you've made, and you keep playing it over and over and over. On average, each human being has 70,000 thoughts per day,
Oh my.
of which 80% are negative.
Oh no.
Choose your story. Choose your rumination.
Yeah.
Marlene's name comes up. I remember that.
Yeah.
And you have it in color. You
Mm-hmm.
can remember and taste what's going on, what food you were having when Marlene said what she said, or did Marlene did what she did, and you're trying to find a way to get even with Marlene.
Mm-hmm.
But because you are too coward, as they say in Jamaica, because you don't want to get caught, you don't want to go to jail, you're trying to see what you can do, what story you can come up with
Right.
to get someone else to jump Marlene, to steal
Mm-hmm.
Marlene's car, to get Marlene fired, to get this done to Marlene so that Marlene would pay and you don't get caught.
Mm-hmm. So you played in your head
You
all the
keep
things you plan
over
on
and
you can
over,
do over and over in your
over
head.
and over. And
All the all
the
the
terrible thing
opportunity,
is you
all
don't
the
even aware that you're doing it.
right, right. So all the
All the
revenge,
negatives,
all the
all the
revenge
revenge.
opportunities are in your head. You play the scenes over and over of you getting revenge.
I
That
mean, for
you're
me,
saying can kill you.
yeah. I mean, and when I was growing up, a piece of sugar cane and you're my enemy, that was how I solved it. But you're an adult, you're mature, you
Yeah.
recognize that violence begets violence,
Mm-hmm.
hatred begets hatred. And there's going to be somebody that doesn't like you who is planning for you,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't even know that you did them anything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
There are many people who are holding on to bitterness, resentment, and a desire for revenge for someone who has crossed over, who is asleep, who is dead, who
That's the
has no
hardest
knowledge
one.
of anything.
I think that's the hardest one.
And you're still there. And there's another tool you can
Yeah.
use to do that.
Well, we will get that today. We won't get to that today,
Yeah.
the tool of to do that. But I would say if anyone listening to this recording and you would like to know some more and some more of the tools that can be used, please join us. When is it? Next week, Saturday?
Yes,
Okay.
next Saturday,
Next Saturday, what date is that?
November the 1st.
November the 1st. It's going to be on Zoom,
Yes.
a different platform. So we'll share that in the comment section of this video. And you can join us Dr.
10:30 to 12.
10:30 to 12 on that Zoom link. If you're in the South Bend area, if you live in the area, please join us and you will learn some more about it's pretty much a seminar workshop that you're going to
Yes, it's a
offer,
seminar workshop, 90 minutes.
90
The
minutes
address is
long. And it's is it on Main? Well, we'll put the
401, it's 401 South Main Street,
right.
South Bend, 46601.
We will put the address in the
Yes.
comment section of this video. This has been great, an eye-opener. And I like when I have something that I can apply, you know? So now I could reframe. I like
Yeah.
reframing the story, reframing the past.
Yeah.
And you gave tools on how to do that,
Yes.
with the individual, the perpetrator and the event, how we can reframe that. So thank you. Thank you for what we've learned today. There's a lot more. I know we just skimmed the surface. We could be here for several days talking about this. But alas, we don't have the time to sit here for several days. But I think we have enough to get us started. And again, using forgiveness to build emotional resiliency. That's
And
what
just to
our
remind
goal.
everyone,
Yes.
the workshop is called Forgiveness as Medicine.
Forgiveness as medicine. I love that.
And
Forgiveness
I'll
medicine.
be for those who will be around, we will let you know, but there's going to be an entire uh, an entire additional workshop and series of workshops through a platform called the Restorative Voice Network, where things like how to forgive, what restorative justice means, what justice means,
Mm,
how to do a lot of things to help to build for the generations behind us,
hmm
as well as to build the quality of life that we are currently living. Let us live our best lives.
Live our best life. We hear it all the time. Live our best life. Live our best life, not only from by shopping and traveling. We can live our best
Mhm.
life by also choosing to forgive and implementing the tools that you've told us. So thank you, Owen, for sharing this
I'm happy to be
powerful
here.
information. And thank you for being here and sharing that. So we really appreciate it. And for those who would listen to this in the future, leave a comment on let's hear your experience, or if there's anything that we said today that resonated with you, please leave that in the comment section and look for other videos. Look for the events that we have upcoming. We expect to have some events coming in November. So look for those announcements. Join our community both on Facebook and on YouTube. Subscribe to our channel so that you know when we have new events or new material posted. So join us on both platforms. And so thank you. Thank you everyone for joining, and we will see you next time at
Thank you. Have a good
Resilient
evening.
Health Communities. Bye everyone.
Bye.